Comes with a transit bracket on it, which you can unbolt. The screws that are there are too long. In the pack you'll find two shorter screws that will go in the place of those screws. So that's the first thing to come off and be discarded. Next, putting a drip tray on, which you can see here. Brackets in the kit, which go here, here. The same at the back, there's a drip tray at the back. There's a conduit on the back of the machine, very large conduit, about 80mm diameter. That's sort of packed away so it doesn't get caught in transit. Push that into the respective housings and then clip these collets on, and then that'll be done. There's 4 jacking screws for the machine that go through each corner. You can then put a piece of plate under each and wind the machine up and get it level with those. Changing the blade, obviously there's plenty of guards to undo here. An additional guard to undo here, you'll need a 10mm spanner for that one, 13mm spanner for this, and this wire brush will swing out the way to change the blade. This swings down out the way, and although it doesn't look it from here, you can feed the blade out through here. It's obviously had to be done this way so you don't get your fingers in it. You can get the blade out quite easily if you move the guide arms in a little bit. It's just so much easier to get the blade off and push the blade down when these guides are in a little bit. There's jacquard handles on the other side of the machine, which you can't see from this side. So that's it. That's the original way of getting the machine started up. As far as wiring it up is concerned, it comes with a piece of flex, which you should put inside conduit or cut it short and use armoured flex. There is a blue wire which is meant for the neutral, so remember the blue is for the neutral. You've got 3 phases and a neutral. When you go to start the machine up, the original hydraulic start button, when you press that, you will hear the hydraulic pump work. Under here you'll see a pressure gauge. If that pressure gauge doesn't come up immediately, it means your motor's running backwards, which means you'll just have to swap 2 phases over on your input, and then you'll find when you press the start, the pump will be working and the machine will be going the right way around. At this end, there is a micro switch, which is purely there for if the blade was to break, the machine will stop. To get the right blade tension on the machine, you can't see from this side, but from the other side, you will do this handle up until you just feel the blade nipping. You can actually see the blade going sort of straight across the top. You can just see that going straight. At that point, you do this handle up 2 1/4 revolutions, and that will be the right tension every time. When you start off, that could be anywhere because the blades vary in length a small amount, so don't think it's going to end up in the same place each time. So from the point that it's just going straight there, turn this 2 1/4 revolutions, and that will be the correct tension. Up here we have a digital readout for the mitering, which you can zero if necessary when the machine is at the 0 point over there. I'll show you that in a minute. Mitering on the machine. Simple lever here, and you can swivel the machine round, simple as that. Naturally, if you're mitering this way, the vice has to be slid over to this side. There's jacquard handles here to move the vice over to that side. Jacquard handle over here for a support bar, which you can then take off there and put on this side, so you're going the other side and supporting the work this side. You'll see all that when you get around the other side when you're setting it up. On the mitering, there is a dead stop here for 0. It enables you to reference the machine and check that it's 0 on the digital readout that I've just shown you. You can also do an additional check every now and again by putting a tri-square across the vice and across the blade to check that it's right. If it's not right, you can do a small adjustment here, get this stop right, and then 0 again on the clock. So, very simple. This end, we have a limit switch for the height that the machine goes up to, so you can restrict how far it comes up so you don't get wasted time with it coming down through the cuts. Obviously, there's ample coolant for the machine, which you'll probably end up throttling back because you'll flood the floor otherwise, so you only need them turned on a little bit. Here is a control valve. It's in addition to the downfeed control. These are the actual pressure downfeed control. They're set quite light at the moment. You really shouldn't need to adjust those unless you were cutting something like solid stainless steel. So basically they make the machine a little bit more forgiving through the work. It's got a bit of give in it so that it's not forcing its way through the job. Control panel. These buttons are purely if the blade was to break in a cut and you needed to move the machine up out the way to change the blade. This obviously is the hydraulic start button and stop button. This is the blade speed. It appears on here. As a rule of thumb, solid stainless steel, you'd run this at about 30 metres a minute. On structural steels, around 70 metres a minute. Structural steels and mild steels between 70 and 80 metres per minute. Over here we have the vice open switch. We have a vice clamping switch here. This will raise the machine up. As you can see on the control panel, this will lower the machine down if you have it in the manual position or in the automatic position. So let me explain about that. In the manual position, you see there's a hand position here. If you have it to the left, you can clamp the vice manually. You can start the blade up here and you can press the down button here and the machine will go down to the bottom and stop there. If you move this switch to the right, you can do the same thing. Start the blade up, start the down feed, and the machine will go down to the bottom and pop back up again. If you have it in automatic position, this is probably where you'll have it most of the time, all you have to do is press start and the machine will clamp the workpiece, providing the vice is quite close to the job. It will clamp the workpiece and then it will go down and do the cut and go back up again. So really, for all your work, you can have it in the automatic position, but there might be occasions where you want to do things manually on the machine or you want the machine to stop at the bottom. You can do that by just turning that there and the machine will go down to the bottom and stop. So the best thing you can do is play around with those controls when there's no metal in the machine and you won't do any damage and you won't hurt yourself. Right, you won't be able to start the machine at all if that yellow light is showing. That's a reset button. It may be on because you haven't done the guards up on the machine or the blade tension hasn't been applied or if the blade is broken. So check those switches first. But in this case, the light will go out because it's ready to go. There's an additional emergency stop button here if anything goes wrong. There's a stop button for normal operations here. And this, of course, governs the down feed of the machine, how fast it comes down through the work. As I mentioned earlier, there are two valves above the guides which slow the machine down through difficult materials. They're set on the sensitive side at the moment, so you can cut structural steels where you're cutting something thin, then thick, then thin again, say on an H-beam or a box section. Just a final point on safety. When changing blades, it's quite okay to use gloves. When you put a new blade on, they always have tooth protection. This is not just for your safety, but also stops the teeth from getting damaged. Try and get the blade on the machine and tensioned up before you move the plastic protection. Then, before you've started the machine up, you must remove your gloves. Gloves are not permitted on bandsaws while you're operating them. It's okay to load the machine with the gloves, providing the machine's switched off, but you cannot operate the machine with gloves.